and I think that's how I landed there. Yeah, I think that's how I landed in what eventually I guess went back to being called SCART.
Right. So I remember you coming over. I do recall the name Monday Night Racing League, and really, I can't help it. I remember Mike and me royally pissing you off in the admin forum.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Still guilty of checking it out.
Like I think I did. Like I think Mike and one of the Legates actually was in MNRL for a little bit of time, so that's what I think it probably was one of them that mentioned it. I just frankly I can't remember. It's at that time, like I think I was going through school at that point, and I was like, how did I end up having to like kind of shepherd a bunch of guys that liked racing around? Like, I got better things to worry about right now, but it,
And this was
yeah, like
back
I think
in, I guess, 2012 must have been. That's when you joined us.
wow, 2012, yeah. So it was right. So it was after school, but I think I was having too much other stuff going on in my life at that point to
Oh
think
yeah,
to be thinking like about racing. So, but yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think there was definitely like after a couple things came together, it was like, how do we end up like with 20 guys racing? But there was like 5 people called an admin, so it was like a really weird dynamic for a while, if I recall correctly.
yeah, something
So,
like that. Yeah, we had a big admin team. Like you were there, Dan, Mike, me. I think Z was there. Tuso was already
I don't
kind
think
of
Z was an admin. He was just more so. He
break
just
us.
wanted to. Yeah, like at that point, I think he was just more. Yeah, like at that point, I think he was just more listening in. So I think the admin team was you, me, Dan. I don't think Mike was, but just because when you bring Dan in, you sort of bring Mike in. Uh, yeah,
Man,
and I think there was one more. I can't remember. But yeah, like there's definitely different. A lot of headbutting going around at that point, but somehow we managed to make it work.
I'm trying to remember how exactly it came that I kind of realized that you yourself were an admin and that you were actually admin caliber. I think you messaged me a couple times and I realized, oh, this guy actually cares about more than just racing. And I think
Yeah, I
then you
think
told me that you were an admin, and that's when I kind of started really recognizing and appreciating you. And yeah, obviously, that's what led to you becoming an admin and showing me how to change the at least the engine torque and power and everything with that tool or without it. Um,
yeah, like I think when I came over, I was sort of there to help massage things along because I think for the people that I brought over, if they didn't see one of, let's just say at that point, us helping it out, I think it would have made it a little more difficult. So I think I helped out with some of that, some of like that merger, if you will. But I really let I think it was really between you and Dan really to lead it. And I was just, dude, let me just try to help you guys along. And then once I can not have the responsibility to back it off. But I think eventually it turned into like I was part of your team. I don't think I wanted to be like the figurehead. I was just like the guy that, you know, I was one of your counsel, your
yes, that's
advisor.
what it
There you
was.
go.
The
Advisor, I
council,
think is a better
the admin
was
council. That's what it was.
yeah, I
And
think
in
I was
fact, I
like
called
I
it
think
council, and then Mike or someone from the guys went ahead and called it the Jedi Council because there were all these Star Wars geeks and all that.
yeah, no, they're a bunch of Star Wars. You're right, they're a bunch of Star Wars geeks.
Yeah, man. So yes, we had obviously season five. It was, and we had pack racing. Thanks to me, by the way, because when I took over from Tuso in season three, I changed the formula somewhat, and it was great for short oval racing by nature. So the combo short ovals and I guess the supposed SCART League edition worked fine, but on the speedways and super speedways, it was just pack racing. And obviously at the homestead, at the High Banked Homestead, we had this shit show of a race where Tusa and me shut down the server, and then came all this, drama. And then you showed me how to change the engine power and some other things, and Z showed me how to change the track grip, and that combined made for what I call from then on the golden age of SCART. It was golden before, but we kind of mastered the mod, I guess.
Yeah, so like by the time I think you guys picked it up, or yeah. So turning back the clock even further, I believe it was 2000, late 2006, 2007. Champ Car World Series worked with R Factor people. I think ISI, whatever it was, to come up with a representative mod for their 05-06 seasons. Well, not even mod. It was supposed to become a video game, I believe. And then once that plan fell apart, that was your first indie car, if you will, for R Factor platform. Pretty good on road courses. I mean, you're running with road course wings on ovals. You can only go so fast with them. So it wasn't exactly the best show. Plus, there's a lot of aero wake with those. So then came, I think, the 95. They released like a 94, 95 mod, which was better for speedway racing, but you still have it still wasn't great. And then once what we were all saying, like that golden mod, which was going to be the 98 one, that was what was going to bring, the best oval racing packages as a whole. Quite frankly, I think it was like 10 over 10 years ago now, but it was a very good package. Very do what you want. You had speedways one up, but yeah, it was because everyone passed around a setup. You pretty much ended up with pack racing. And when you ran with the Super Speedway package, you just got those massive runs in. Quite frankly, when you get a bunch of guys in a beer league trying to act like they're, Juan Montoya, you get a lot of Juan Montoya crashes. So that's why I think, a lot of it was going back to patience. And I think, a lot of people would get those massive runs. And problem is, depending, you could probably name a couple of guys that would pop up, but big lead, a little bit of a hole, they're going for it. And then I think just the regular speedway was definitely prone to, wasn't quite bump drafting, but you can work with people and you get that's how you would go fast. That's how you end up with that pack racing thing. And generally speaking, I think some of the more experienced people knew that's how you went fast, and if you were to try to pass people in doing that, they didn't like it. But at the same time, who wants to follow the same guy around for hour upon hour? So, that's where once you change the track grip and engine power, it's like, okay, the track has less grip. You give the cars a little bit more power. You have to lift a little bit. I think that's where that thought process came from, and add a little weight to the cars, and then your car's going to start sliding a little bit more. They're heavier, so I think it was a combination between that. That's what we did with MNRL, the MNRL version of it, and I think I said passed on some of that knowledge to you guys.
Right. Now it makes sense. Yes. You pointed to me the whole power changing and weight changing.
Yeah, and also fuel tank. I think we played around with the fuel tank size just so people would be able to just pack the car in and that they wouldn't have to pit type of thing. Because I think if you did the fuel burn off rate multiplier, it was when you go to 50%, when you go to 2 times of burn rate, it's that you're pitting very frequently. So that's why I think when you play around with the fuel tank size, you can adjust it to where you'll get a 1 or 2 stop. You'll be right in that ballpark of a 1 and 2 stop race versus, yep, you're definitely in a 2 stop race, or yep, you're definitely in a 3 stopper or something.
As you're talking, I'm wondering, obviously, I myself wasn't very active after the last season of SCART, which was in 2014, season 9. Um, but I remember Dan mentioning you so many times and saying Lee helped here and Lee helped there and whatnot. Um, so let's see. You were back then living in Indianapolis, right?
Indiana.
Or
Yeah,
Indiana,
at that time.
right?
I think I moved back to New Jersey in 2012, and yeah, in 2016 I moved down to Philadelphia.
Philly.
Yep,
Lucky you, I guess.
that's a nice place.
All right. And yeah, that's how it all went, I guess.
Yeah, like
When was your first season with SCART? When was your first season with SCART?
20. It would have been 2012 something. I don't know what number that was. It would have been like I think 2012, sometime in 2012, like early, maybe late 2011, but I think it's probably 2012.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about right. Right. And again, I'm so glad I'm doing this because I remember now it was season 4 when I joined in 2012. And you were running this black car, number 98, I think. And both you and Butch, kept all, giving advices to Dan and me and whoever else. And eventually I would realize, what caliber you are and made you an admin and all that. So, which is funny, by the way, because me, myself, I joined as a driver and became an admin, took over from Tuso. Then came Dan, he joined as a driver, became an admin. Then came you, and obviously the others. And so, the parallels are amazing. And I guess the history, 10 years.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, like I mean,
What an
yeah, like
underwhelming reaction to all that.
I mean, it's I think felt drivers becoming average. I think at some point you realize you want to see this thing keep going because we enjoyed it. Not everyone really wants to take that responsibility because it is a little bit extra work on the side. We all have other things going on in our lives, and quite frankly, the BS of having to deal with people complaining about why this one guy may have chopped him off on lap whatever, and you have to go review it, and then decide is there anything worthy at the end of it, or you just have to tell the guy like, dude, this is all night racing, man. Like we're not like Formula One. We don't have like money on this thing, so that was always like that part. Eventually, that part can get old pretty fast. But I think just because I wanted to have a group of people to have something to do with over the week, maybe weekend. It's like yeah, sometimes someone has to take that responsibility, and I think for a time I was like, okay, I'll do it. But it's so it was. I was still saying, in the end, even as sometimes got, it is like you're trying to babysit a bunch of old guys.
Yeah, sometimes.
Who always think they're right. It's just got to remember it's just a video game. It's we don't have any money on the line, so
It's a simulator, please.
yeah, and that's the thing is like you could put if we were doing iRacing, I kind of get it a little bit more because they have harder metrics and whatnot. But we're in a pretty much we're in what would you call Linux? What was that thing called? What was it called?
Open source.
Open source. Yeah, like R Factor is really like, and that was the thing. Like, there's some open source, and there that yeah, like most I would say vast majority of R Factor was open source. R Factor was open source / if you knew how to look at files, they were open source. So you're using open source platform. Why are we fighting? So that's sort of my take on a lot of that stuff.
Say, do you realize you're in the official, well, nowadays racing sports history for your help with the formula and all that back in season 5. Because again, it was like the Susura that I mentioned. Everything before that was not too bad. I took over from Tuso in season 3. I changed the formula somewhat, but the serious changes came with you and Z pointing me to the things I need to change. And so when we wrote that, I guess I did mostly. I wanted to make sure you're mentioned there because it made that much of a difference. And I certainly have those testing sessions at especially Fontana in very fond memory. And this has to be 2012, season 5 of SCART in 2012. And I guess the only thing left is when they're coming back.
Yeah, like I think I think we were, it'd be like test something else, and we're like, is it getting what we want? No. I think then I'll say, hey, go to this file, make this change, pop it back up on the server, and we tried a couple of times. I think we needed a couple of guys on track because I think I may have said back then was, any car feels okay when you're only one car, when you only have like 2 cars on track, but when you get like that 3rd or 4th one in line, that's when you sort of get a better feel of to how bad, how easy it is or how hard it is. So sometimes that's where it was hard because it's a testing session. And we're purposely trying to make the cars harder to drive, or at least harder to set up. So it's not. It was the stuff that's not that glamorous, but we're all trying to make a better package at that point.
And we did. Did we ever? Which we still use. Again, the package we had for the rerun of Homestead is the one we still use today. And,
yes, didn't expect that.
Well, there you go.
Like honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they're still running that. I would have thought at some point something else would have came along that would have been. Not say it's a bad package, but it's like
it's a great package, I guess.
It's just like at the same time, people were playing F19902 like 10 years after that was released. So maybe I shouldn't be so surprised.
Hey. So now we have MS2 coming out, and I'd like to think that you will somehow return to at least do special appearances or so. By the way,
you want to hear the dumb thing?
Yeah.
You want to hear the dumb thing about that? One of the reasons why I haven't yet is because I'm using a dining table right now, like a repurposed dining table as my desk, because I'm too cheap to buy another one, and I can't clamp my wheel to it. So that's actually one small reason. And every time I get an opportunity to, say put money towards that project, it goes to something else.
Right.
And I don't like the G27 that much. There's just not enough buttons on it. So thus, in turn, the reinvestment to get back into it's pretty steep. That said, I just have to say, stop buying so much other random crap, Justin, and maybe one day I could. I was actually very close to buying one, getting a G29, but I was also thinking, dude, the G29's been out for 5 years now. Like they have to replace it soon. So, so yeah, that. Like, I like the Logitech platform. Yeah, I know there's better wheels out there, but I think theirs is the best package of
for the money.
What you get. Yeah, like they're pedals. Like I remember the pedals for G27, G29. Like they're really good pedals for what you pay. If you like a really stiff brake pedal, like that's a really stiff brake pedal. I like what came with, and that's why. But I also don't want to break the bank just to go back, racing. So, but I definitely think it's something I would pick back up at some point. Other hobbies got in the way too. So, like, what I describe no disrespect to all those races. I just think like healthier hobbies, started to take priority. Like I got into cycling, and
Oh,
entering
really?
cycling events costs a lot of money. The bike made like that's really what soaked up a lot of that money was, getting a bicycle, realizing that the bicycle I bought from some friend that he told me it's only 3 to 4 years old. 3 to 4 years old. I realized after buying it from him at what initially isn't a bad price, but the amount of work that got put into him, like shit, man, I could have bought a new bike that for that price, for the price I threw into it, and it would have been in better condition.
So you got conned. Is that what you're saying?
I would say it was more that, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, like it's not the guy who was trying to. I don't think he was trying to fleece me. It's just he didn't know what it was either. But he also didn't give me like the full facts up front. He's like, "Oh, the bike's 4 years old," or I've had the bike for 4 years. I'm like, and I didn't bother to ask a question like, "Did you have the bike for 4 years, but you bought from someone else, or it's 4 years old?" So in reality, he had it for 4 years. It was like a 15-year-old bike. Don't know how much you know about bicycles. It's just, yeah, a 15-year-old bike does need quite a bit of maintenance to get back running if it has been sitting around in a shed for 2 years. Sound about right? So that became a dollar sink, and then once I knew I was really into it, I bought another bike, sold that bike off, bought another bike for more general purposes. So like that ate up a lot. All the money I put towards the bike has it adds up, but it's hobby that I like. I can't do it right now because it's trying to stay off the streets in this current world situation. So, which is where it would be kind of nice if I did have a gaming setup. But yeah.
Well, high time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could figure out something with what I have, and then maybe I'll pop back on.
So
we'll see.
Just one thing, getting back to Dan and you. Obviously, you did things after 2015 when you, I think, stopped, or when we both stopped being so active in sim racing. I think you helped with modding and whatnot. Is that right?
I stayed on as as that consult again. Like I would help. Like he'd have questions, I'd ask him. Right. I was familiar enough with the platform, so he'd ask a question because I don't think he was as in tune with the physics, like the modification and physics aspect of it. I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but I kind of had an idea of what, like, if he asked me what can I do to make this happen, I could give him some suggestions that he could test out. So I stayed on more for that. I think I maybe had drifted in a couple times. Like I think I did a partial season at one point, which. Yeah, like I think I came back for like what I thought was going to be a full half season, but then I stayed on because I did pretty well the first half of that season, but kept getting wrecked. Yeah, I kept getting wrecked.
Hey.
So. Yeah, so yeah, so I think at that point, like my patience was just a little thin. I knew, okay, maybe I'll just step away from it again. But again, like anytime those guys have a question for me, or anyone has a question about me, like I'll help them as much as I can. But it's been so long now that I'm sure they're well beyond what I do at that time.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Don't forget Dan runs things, so. Yeah, I think we covered just about anything. Yeah, it's funny.
No, like I said, like it was good fun. Like, but I think from what I could see with the other people I knew that had done it for a while, it just stopped. It's like we all have other things in our lives that are taking place. Like, when I first got started, I was 18, 19 years old. Like, no worries in the world, school and whatnot. Job, but it's like there's not a lot of responsibilities now. It's a little bit more. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like, do you really have the time for this? Like, what's really important to you? I think it always seemed like there was like everyone that I started out with up until they got to around like 24, 25, they were still doing. And then that's when they tailed off, and then there was like another little blip of people participation, like of like middle age people, like someone like the 40, like late 40s to 50s area, I think, because it's like, okay, your kids are not no longer babies and whatnot, and like they're a little bit more settled. So that's why like Dan, like, so that's where you start finding time again to do this stuff. So, um,
Yeah, sounds about right actually. Now that you say it.
uh, yeah. So like that's the thing. I mean, if I had now I think, to be honest with you, it's like, what am I doing? Like for what I do for work right now, it's in the situation with COVID-19 and whatnot. It's it's a lot of responding to emails for work, but you can only get so many emails in a day, so it's a little bit of downtime. So, if I wanted to, would I spend some time to do some hot lapping right now? Probably. Like, but at the same time, when times are a little bit more normal, like during the if this wasn't happening, I'd probably, get off from work, ride my bike 2 to 3 times after work, once over the weekend, play softball 2 of the nights. Like, again, my time just, it's not there.
Right.
So, and there's no disrespect to, you guys. It's just more, like, I'm playing, sports 2 nights, and I'm riding my bike 3 to 4 of the days. It's like, does that really leave me a lot of time to do well? Not so sure. I was never really much of a take someone set up at the last minute type of thing. The way I always like the car is always a little different than those guys. I think setup wise, the closest person I was with was DJ. Although I think eventually we could start off the same point, just have to tweak it to what we like. So, it's I don't want to be the guy that just looks so out of place. So, but I said, like, the 5 to 7 years where I was really into it, got me through some tough times. It's like when I needed a distraction from reality, online racing really was a really nice distraction. Gave me something to look forward to a couple times a week, and not that I was like going through any horrifically bad dark days. It was just more, you just need distractions from things that are going on in reality. So can't ever take that away. It's like my take. Like, if I have to think back, all those years I've done, it's like the big takeaway was it became this very nice, good way, good thing, a nice way to get away from reality for a couple hours.
Sure.
That's really where, if I had to look back on it, what value did this bring to me? What joy did it bring to me? Was, like when like my dad was very sick. It's it's like bad things are going to happen in coming up, but it's like, how can I get away from it? Focus in on something that's entertaining, but it's also taking up your mind, so you like totally forget about what's going on in the world, and then for a couple hours, and so that was like one of the better, that I would say that there's one takeaway from it that I really, I can't say I would have found anywhere. It's it's that.
Well, at least something. Wow, I didn't know that. That's wow. That's quite a compliment.
I think I think both in what should we call it? It was both when I was at SCART and MNRL. It was like, just give you both would give me some relief.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to call it. And that's what it was meant to be, I guess, originally.
Yeah, I mean, then
apart
you
from
run
being a
into those
hobby. And
guys that
well, see, to be honest, I took this kind of very serious in the well, all the way actually from the point that from the point that I found it. Um, I kind of wanted to go race online because I wanted to do IndyCar, and I was sick of racing computers, so I got myself another simulator where I say spent a year or two learning, realized that the devs there were not the smartest. Then moved on to obviously because of Card Factor, moved on to R Factor, and that's how it all began. I fortunately found the SCART server, joined there, found both the Mundruts, and the rest is history. I went to the forums, signed up, said hi, and what a story, I guess. I'm just,
yeah, no,
I'm really glad that I know you messaging me and really caring for SCART back then. Back then, eventually I realized, yeah, this guy, he cares obviously, and he knows something or two. But really, your way and your character is what made me or made us say, oh, we should have him on our team.
oh,
Um, and yeah, yeah. In 2015, my life changed, so I had to stop, not stop, but reduce sim racing to a minimum.
yeah,
And
like yeah, we all have our different reasons to do it. Like,
but what do you know?
um,
Now, 5 or 6 years later, I did most of those card season whatever races, running ovals mostly.
so like I feel like, and it's maybe a little bit of a cop out answer, but I feel like they were like it was a lot easier to be competitive. Like not easier, but I felt because I did have the top line equipment for certain things, I felt like I could be more competitive on the ovals because that was something where I knew I could work on setups and try to and we when you're on working with Dan and Mike, you have two test drivers for you, so we were able to dial in stuff and become relatively competitive. Granted, everyone would also have that setup, but hey, at least you're going to a knife fight with the same knife as everyone. So that's why I like the like I probably was always more of a road course. Like I always found more interesting road courses growing up, but then I think once I started you know racing on ovals more, I found those rewarding just because I said I could run up towards the front more on road courses. It was like there's always that what we used to call the aliens, where 2 to 3
Yeah,
guys run
yeah,
away, and it's
we had those.
yeah, like and then it's like if you got a top five, you felt really good in a in a series with 20 guys starting. It's like, but you knew that you were still like 50 seconds to a minute behind them. It's like, yeah, had nothing, So, uh, yeah, yeah, like I think when I first started, it was like I was a better road course person than an oval person, but then I grew into more of an oval person. Uh,
There we go. Same here.
definitely, like it, yeah, no, so like it's not really doing it for some sort of material possession. It's just like when when you think about it's all said and done, like what do you got from it? It's like yeah, you got some good memories, you got some experiences. I would kind of joke that on one of my job interviews before, like people, one of the questions I got during a job interview was, "Do you have any experience leading people?" Type of question. I'm like, I bet
Oh yeah.
you never would expect to hear this one. And I gave the actually online racing admin experience for leading people, and they're like, "Yeah, we told never would." They kind of gave the yeah, that is something that no one's really ever told them. I'm like, I either look like a total geek right now or cool. Um, but yeah, like I've actually used online racing stuff as a for experience.
So have I, and
Uh,
rightly so. So have I, and
uh,
rightly so.
so
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It gives you quite a lot. It obviously demands something, but it gives you quite a lot.